Hi guys, thank you for joining in and watching this video and going through the misery. How many likes or how many comments do you get on a post usually that you make on LinkedIn? I can get maybe 5, 10 on 15, but the lady here with me doesn't like kind of blows over the top every single time she posts something, right? I look forward to what she posts every week, and I have noticed a pattern. She usually posts this on a weekend so that the traffic builds over. She's one of the biggest influencers in the D2C space in India. I think Vanshika is quite synonymous with e-commerce in India, with her brand strategy advice and all the things that she talks about. And the best and important thing that I like is she always speaks from her heart. Very simply put, that you don't have to put a lot of brains into. But saying all this, I would still request Vanshika to talk a little bit about what she does and how she's helping out people. But before that, thank you, Vanshika, for joining in, and I'm really excited for this chat.
Absolutely. Thanks for the lovely intro. Hi everyone. My name is Vanshika, as Shwetank just mentioned. I work with D2C e-com tech brands to basically help them find their true purpose, connect them to something more meaningful than just selling a product, and connecting all of that to the lovely word we all love, which is profit. Because I feel honestly that in the market that we're at right now and in the stage that we are, there's not a single category where you can be like, I have no competitors. And that's becoming the challenge these days for brands to really stand out and find their place in the market. And after you've done that, the next challenge is how do you kind of build a community over just customers. So that entire journey is very exciting, and I work with early stage entrepreneurs mostly to help them to kind of figure this out and figure out what is the optimum way to build their brand in a way that it builds recall and it builds love. I think that's the most important other than selling a product.
Great. And I know this by experience, by working closely with you and a lot of other people, that you're very good at it. So, okay, let's try to squeeze as many insights we can from you, Vanshika. Okay. My first question for picking your brain is like what you mentioned. D2C brands work very hard to build a product, right? Which they spend months of innovation trying to bring things. A lot of them develop that based on the personal problems or issues that they were facing, and that's why they find a solution. But when I look at it from a consumer point of view, what can D2C brands actually do to differentiate themselves? Because everybody wants to say that I am unique, but in the eyes of the customer, that differentiation is very hard. What's your suggestion there?
I think a lot of people struggle with differentiation mainly, and then validating that differentiation, I think, is what really matters. I mean, as part of the service offering that we've also been giving, is that we're going to talk to 50 people or as many as you wish, as part of validating if the insight you found is really something that matters to your consumer. Because a lot of people have an insight, they just think like, acha theek hai, this will work, but it's not, it doesn't work that way. You need to talk to real consumers who are already buying from your competitors to find out what is that gap that you can fill, and how much money are they willing to spend to fill that gap in. I think apart from differentiation, I think also a lot of D2C brands can work on kind of making the entire experience better, because I mean, not all D2C brands even have an offline store. So when it is an online store, I think experience is the most important part of the journey. How does a customer feel when they come to your website? Are you using the right color? It's not just a green website. It's, are you using mint green? Are you using leaf green? Right? Every little thing matters. Like, how does your checkout flow look? Right? Anything can break the process. So when it comes to D2C, I think first things first, figure out where your differentiation lies and validate it. And secondly, focus on experience and focus on those delight moments, because you're interacting with somebody who's sitting across a screen who has very limited bandwidth, right? Like, this person can get a call in like the next 30 seconds and completely drop off and never come
Gone.
back to your website.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a very real scenario, right? Like, you get a WhatsApp, you get a call, and then you've completely lost a customer for no fault of yours. But
Yeah.
if the kind of process and the feeling is there on your website where they feel like they are buying something that they really want or maybe didn't know they needed, that's when you found the sweet spot in your D2C journey.
Yeah, and there are so many factors of disrupting journey. But one of the biggest things that we need to look at is average attention span is reduced to 8 seconds now.
Yeah,
So the maximum time you have is to do that everything in 8 seconds. Otherwise, anyways, it's gone.
yeah.
That's pretty good. I never thought too much about the external disruptors. So thanks for bringing that to light. And differentiation becomes a very solid part of brand building. And brand is, of course, takes a lot of time, comes out with all the value and problems that you're solving for the customer, and that shapes your GTM strategy, right? How would you advise a startup D2C merchant who's maybe 1 year in the market, just trying to figure out customer support, product issues, and all that stuff? What would your advice be on how they should build a brand and define their go to market strategy, please?
Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody that as tedious as it sounds, talk to your first 100 customers. You have their phone number. Pick up the phone and chat with them. Ask them, like, how was your buying experience? What could we do better? What are some other brands you looked at before you bought our brand? Like these insights, they're very tedious because it takes a lot of time. But if you actually slot it out and make it a priority, it is very, very possible. It's not something that's not doable. And the second thing, like we talked about earlier, right? Like focus on the experience, make it cohesive, make it in such a way that they feel like they're being pushed, but they're not being like pushed over the edge to buy. Like you need to
Okay.
build that comfort environment using your brand, using your marcoms, using your colors, using something as simple as like, the cooey pop-ups, right? Where you feel like, say, for example, I'm scrolling a website, I see that I like this thing, and I mean, I'm an obsessive shopper, so I can tell you that if somebody throws me a discount, I'm going to buy. Like, I am that kind of a person who
Yeah,
gets, I literally buy off Instagram ads. So I'm
sure.
the perfect customer for that kind of a thing. But, seeing something where like you feel like it's not just a generic, boring pop-up, which is like in your face, like, I mean, I know as much as D2C loves those like spin the wheel and, all of that stuff, like, every website has done it. I'm so sick of seeing it. Like
Yeah,
I would rather get something personalized to me. Like for
yeah,
example, here's today's Wednesday, we're doing a 10% off. And
yeah,
that could totally be a lie because it's just to me. I'm not gonna go and
yeah,
talk to someone else and be like, did you go to this website and did you get a 10% off? But that 10% off or 15% off, right? To me means that like at least the brand is trying to push me towards a purchase. I mean, a lot of people even drop off right at the time when they put things in their cart. So how
yeah,
soon can you get information from them, right? That spin the wheel thing is basically just to get my email address and my name, right? So
yeah,
how can you do this in other ways to make it more creative where you're not being just like any other brand? I mean,
yeah.
I've seen also like this very cool company that is doing AI generated messages. So they have ads where or they have pop-ups where like if they know that you're visiting, it could be like a Shilpa Shetty or a Hrithik Roshan, and then they
Okay.
dub the name in, so it feels like, "Hi Vanchika, welcome to blah blah blah." Here
Yeah,
I am telling you that you can get 10% off, and
yeah.
that's doable. I've seen it happen. I know a company that's doing it.
Oh,
So
nice.
anything to make the customer feel like it's a welcoming environment, and they're not just being pushed to buy a product, but actually become part of something more, which is like, for example, like if I would go to say an LBB or I would go to a community based, right? I would like to see something like, hey superwoman, you've been chosen to join our community, right? Something as small as that can
Yeah,
give you that like 1 second of delight, which could possibly then lead into me actually, signing up for your product and product or service and enjoying it. And I think everybody loves discounts. India is a discount oriented country.
right. Yeah,
We buy when we see sale, anywhere where there is a sale. Some brands have started to get very creative. Like, for example, there's a skincare brand doing a sale at 1 rupee for some products. I think
yeah,
it's happening today. There is another brand that's doing buy anything for 999. buy three
Yeah,
or four products, I think, for
bundles.
999
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, so like D2C brands are getting creative by the minute, and
yeah,
it's going to get harder and harder to acquire your customers,
yeah,
which is why when they're on your website, you have their attention before the next WhatsApp comes in, the next message, the next baby is crying,
yeah.
whatever you can do to get their attention, and stick with it so that they, again, feel like they're being pushed towards a purchase, but they're not being like slammed with it in the face. I think there's a very fine line between that, and I
There
mean,
is.
yeah, we
Yeah, there
love
is.
we love discounts. I mean,
Oh,
I'm the perfect candidate. Like, throw me a discount and I'll buy. Like, honestly, I think 9 out of 10 times I'll buy.
yeah, yeah, and that's a very very important fact, right? Which brands kind of can look at it in a very different way. So let me kind of throw in a practical use case here, right? E-commerce is all about margins, right? And every single discount I give is not beneficial to me. Right? So from a brand perspective, I know I'm bleeding. My cost of acquisition is high. Targeting becoming expensive. My conversion rates, irrespective of all the tech in the world, are not beyond 2.5, 2%, whatever. And I give you a discount. Yes, my sales needle moves, but my margins and overall profitability is gone. Um, why do brands then end up offering that 20% to everybody? And if I know Vanchika is coming and she's of a very high intent to buy, she's maybe a repeat customer or maybe the first time user. She knows exactly what she saw. She went to the cart, etc., etc. If there was a way for me to find out that this is a more serious customer and I give them a 10% rather than a 25% generic to everybody, will help them increase my sales, but also help me rather than doing it in a very historical way. And that's where segmentation tech is kind of gone, because this is all based on what you were doing earlier.
Right.
What do you
I
feel like
think
in
there
that 8
is,
seconds? Yeah.
yeah, like I feel like there is technology that can tell you what is the user journey like. It can
Yeah.
tell you how many minutes or seconds you've spent.
So,
It can,
given you are an avid shopper, and now that you've confessed that in the online media, guys, all D2C brands hear that out, right? Vanchika is interested. So, tell me the top 5 brands that you work with or you really like shopping off your Instagram feed every day.
yeah. I think one beautiful thing about discovering D2C brands online is that they're just such cute brands doing such very, very like cool stuff that like, I mean, you wouldn't really search for it on Google, which is why I love shopping off social. I mean, I get such cool targeted ads. There's this brand called Kiri Kiri. They do some very interesting, not crystal, but like healing stone based like jewelry, and it's just very beautiful. They've got like moons and elephants and very cute stuff. So I've like been seeing their feed and stuff for a very long time. So Kiri Kiri is definitely one. Another one that I bought when I went to Phuket recently was Soul Threads. It's also owned by one of my friends, and I heard they just also opened a store in Bombay, so they've got some really cool flip flops and stuff. Another one, I think in D2C, I recently bought the very famous protein bars, Whole Truth Foods. They had a sale going on or something. I don't know. I got an email a couple of days ago, so I
Nice,
bought that. Uh, Love Bliss Club. I buy a lot of their stuff because they're just so comfy and they're designed so well.
nice,
They're like in my travel gear at all times. And then talking about travel, like I think Mokabara, like oh my God, I am so obsessed with my suitcase. I've never been so obsessed about a suitcase ever. There's just something so beautiful about it. Like, I don't know
indeed.
what it is. It's just the feel. I can't even explain it, but there's a vibe with Mokobara. Like, I don't even know. And I think another really cool brand is definitely Daily Objects. I mean, they've got such cool stuff like organizers and laptop sleeves and stuff for your desk.
Nice.
So these are like some of the brands that I've recently bought from, or at least have bought from in the recent past.
Good. And what I hear from you, right? So again, there's a spread of different kind of products, different use cases, different brands that you're looking at, to solve your everyday day-to-day need, for example, right? And that's exactly what brands need to kind of do. Focus on that one thing that they are trying to do, and of course, give you a nice online customer journey for you to convert.
Yeah.
Last question, Vanchika, from my side is, if I'm a D2C brand starting out, what are the top two tips that you would give me so that I maintain, profitability? I can develop a good product, get some good customers, and kind of, maintain myself and thrive on.
Yeah. First things first, focus on delight, not even any other thing. Like, focus on figuring out what is it that your consumers are really coming to your website for? How can you retain them on the website? How can you make them convert? And then obviously the delight aspect. What can you do to make their life so easy? Like, for example, I know I think it was Shiprocket where they have like this one touch, like one phone number entry, and it just like gets all your data.
Yeah.
So easy to check out. It's like a one-step checkout process, and that is so beautiful. There are so many tools available these days, right? And I think making that delight factor where the purchase is so easy and it feels almost natural, I think is really, really important. And secondly is retention, right? And retention for a brand like Kui, for example, could be like, if you know that this person is a regular buyer or has bought from you, what are you doing to say to them that, hey, you're a valued customer, we love you, come back?
Yeah.
Because while acquisition, everybody is able to figure it out after a certain point in time, retention is really where the problem is at these days because of the rising cost of advertising, the fact that there is just too much choice in the market, and consumers are price sensitive, which they've always been. So if you can figure out what it takes to retain and keep them in your inner circle without making it intrusive and without being annoying, that is really where the magic happens. And like I said, like customers are very quick to make a decision when they want to buy, because we buy emotionally. We see like, oh, this is nice, like this fits my aesthetic, it checks off these two three things for me, I'm ready to buy. And
Yeah.
when I'm ready to buy, I'm waiting for that moment where the brand realizes that I'm ready to buy. um, I'm sure, I mean, being in the e-commerce space, you must have heard, right? There are all these articles and YouTubers and people who say, like, keep this in your cart for 48 hours and you'll get a discount on an email, right? Why do
That's
we have
been
to wait
insane.
48
Insane.
hours? And
Yeah.
it's true, it happens. But
Yeah.
why do we have to wait 48 hours for that to happen when you'd
Yeah.
rather just convert them when they're there? If you use something like what you guys are building,
Yeah.
where they feel like, okay, like, there's no point waiting. Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to get after 48 hours? Like, you might
Indeed.
just throw me a 10% off. If you threw that to me right now, I would just
Mm.
buy.
Yeah.
So, cut down the time of decision, cut the cognitive load, and make it easy for them to buy. And then when they buy, retain them. I think it's a never ending cycle of attract, delight, retain, and then go back to the
Exactly.
beginning.
It's continuous optimizations, etc.
Yeah.
But makes a lot of sense because faster decision time, reducing sessions, time spent, bring them home, delight them with the product so they'll come back again. That should
Yeah.
be the mantra for everybody. Again, thank you so much, Vanchika.
Thank you.
It is whatever you've said goes for a D2C brand, also goes for a platform like us that serves D2C brands because we need to do that continuous experimentation as well. And gladly things are going all right. So really appreciate your time and all the wisdom that you shared with everyone. And hopefully all you guys learned a lot from her because I end up do learning a lot from her every time I speak to her. Thank
Thank
you
you.
again, and hopefully we'll do this soon.
Yes. See
Okay,
you. Thank you.
bye.
Bye.